Hey Mark, how you been? Learn anything about knowledge reports lately?
Learn anything about the criminal activities of the Church of Scientology lately?
If there were any, we'd know.
It's funny, the police department spent $2 million trying to prove that over how many years and not one? Give me a break.
So you're discounting Mary Sue Hubbard and the folks who went to prison?
20 years ago? Yeah, they made some mistakes.
How about the folks up in Canada in 1997 who went to prison for the same mistakes?
Don't think I know anything about that.
Well, you should check into it.
I'm sure it was...
First church in Canada to be criminally convicted. It's your church, you should be interested in finding out the facts, don't you think?
You want the facts on the gentleman you work for?
Two of us.
There you go.
Well, I hope you guys are prepared to go to jail for libel.
I would love that if you guys would sue us for libel, because everything in there that's all true.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, not one person that we've ever said anything about has ever taken us, including this guy and anybody from L&T. Stacy, you know, your dope-smoking buddies over there at the L&T, you know, they smoke pot. They grow pot in their homes. We know it. We say it. We say all kinds of things. But you know what? We say the truth. And nobody's ever taken us to court for libel. Why is that? Because we speak the truth, woman. And there you have it.
I am a woman, but you're not telling the truth.
Well,
that's about where the truth ends, huh?
Dang, I forgot that number. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, you better call OSA.
Oh, it's not OSA. It's just a funny little...
That's the power of OT for you.
It's kind of funny that you showed up here, Mark. So did you read that knowledge report, Bowen?
Isn't it funny that you showed up here?
It's actually natural that I'd show up here, stopping people like you.
Stopping? You're not stopping anything. What are you stopping? What do you think you're stopping?
I think it'll happen.
What do you think you're stopping? What do you think you're accomplishing here? Are you at cause over something?
What do you think you're accomplishing?
We're working. Looks like you're not working.
I have people that work for me. I don't have to.
Oh, that's nice. So, is this why you got into Scientology? Stand around in the heat in the sidewalk?
I'm enjoying myself.
Good. They just want to interrupt people from working. That's all they're doing. They think they're doing something really special, hanging around on the sidewalk.
So you give us a lot of attention for doing nothing.
We don't like Scientologists.
Oh,
Really,
that's nice.
we don't like.
So you are religious bigots then?
That's not a religion. I'm sorry.
The Supreme Court of the United States says it is.
No,
Yes,
they said
the
you're tax
IRS
exempt.
is.
They said you're tax
No,
exempt.
the IRS said we're tax exempt.
You are
the
not.
Supreme Court of the United States does validate Scientology as a valid religion in the United States of America.
I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry.
You guys don't worship anything but money. Money and harassment, DA packs.
You know
That's your God.
You know the game in business. The best offense, the best defense is good offense, right?
Well, you know, if a so-called church doesn't play offense and defense.
Sure they do.
No, they don't.
Sure they do. Every one of them does.
No.
Vatican on down, woman.
You know what? Don't call me woman. That's really rude.
What's your name?
I'll let you know if I want to tell you my name.
I actually already know it, so I just can't remember it right now.
Well,
It wasn't
good.
significant enough to remember.
Well,
More of
that's
those OT
great.
abilities.
Yeah, that's what you pay the big bucks for, isn't it? Well, this is quite a dossier they've put together here.
I wanted to let you know Mr. Bunker showed up.
Wow, wow, wow. Listen to
Cameron and the woman, I forgot her name. You know.
Mark Bunker
Yeah.
is fighting for truth. He goes wherever Scientology goes.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's kind of humorous. I thought it was quite funny. I thought I'd call and tell you. Yep. Yep.
KRs are so important,
No.
aren't they?
Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. All right, well. No. No.
Here, Mark.
Ineffectual. Yep.
Look
All right,
what they're
buddy.
handing out to people.
What is this?
That's your criminal trespass.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? Event 118771. Now, they are such a church that they spend their time accumulating all this information.
You have to when you have enemies.
You know what? If you would just look,
That's not the truth.
if you would just look, you'd find out that we're not enemies. If you would just look. You're told stuff.
No, I've seen stuff for the 27 years I've been a card-carrying e-meter total Scientologist. And,
Well,
you know, it started a lot of lies back in the early 50s, propagated by Interpol and other people that went to the IRS and various things. And,
were you there for that? For the Interpol stuff?
oh, I've seen the app. Yeah, I was actually part of it toward the end when they started doing some of the...
So you were there when the Guardian's office infiltrated the FBI and the IRS then?
I was actually not in Scientology.
But you were there when the Interpol was doing this?
Toward the end of the thing, when they were actually getting the Nazis out of the Interpol and they got them kicked out, yeah.
You thought there were
and
Nazis
I was
in
there.
Interpol?
They were, proven. And the Interpol acknowledged it. Interpol apologized for all the misinformation, and they went to the work to actually go back through and disseminate correct information about Scientology, which is one reason why the IRS allowed us.
Well, let me ask you
do that.
something. I really do have this question, and I've always wondered about this. Since we're on a break, I guess I can talk. You guys follow L. Ron Hubbard. He's your source, correct?
He's the source of the data.
He's the source of the data.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you're following this guy, and like if you have marital problems, you go for your 2D co-audit, right? You go for all your technical stuff concerning 2D relationships. Do you think he was a proper authority on the 2D relationships?
I'm sure he had some rough times. Everybody does on the second dynamic. I know you're having your times. Your
I'm
boyfriend,
not having any times.
Your boyfriend or whatever maybe.
I'm having the time of my life. I work. I love my life, so I'm not having any problems.
I'm sure you did have though, because everybody has on the second dynamic. It's kind of a crazy dynamic, isn't it?
Well, everybody does, but my question to you is,
Sure is.
my question to you is, everybody has 2D problems, but my question to you is, are you aware that he was a bigamist?
I'm not necessarily sure that's true. I know Mark's tried to lay that on me, and it may be true. You know,
Well,
maybe he had some
if I
problems.
showed you documents that were taken through the Freedom of Information Act, would you believe that they were true? That he was married at one time and wasn't divorced till sometime later?
You know, maybe he did do something like that. So freaking what?
Well, see,
You know,
I have a
we all
problem.
make mistakes.
Okay, everybody makes
LRH
mistakes.
make mistakes.
Let me ask
I
you
make
this:
mistakes.
what do you think about the time that he threw the kid in the chain locker?
Not sure I'm buying it. You know?
You don't believe
buy
that
it.
he would do that to a kid? How about all the children that he fathered and he just denounced and disconnected
You make
from?
it sound like it's 30 or 40.
No, but considering that he had children that he didn't even acknowledge, do you think that's a good example? I'm asking because I'm really seriously interested in how somebody wouldn't question a guy giving advice that
Well, I'll tell you
couldn't
what.
take his own advice.
I'll tell you what. That was maybe early on in his life, and he had a lot of research to do, and he had to come up with a lot of things. And he did. Basically, when he got straightened out, maybe he had some things to straighten out. I don't know. He was human. He wasn't a god or anything. He still isn't. He made some mistakes, maybe. Maybe he did some of those things. I don't know. But I do know that when you take his technology and you apply it standardly, it does work. I have done many studio co-eds on people. I have, helped. I can think of 6 off the top of my head where the marriages were ready to just go, bam. And I put them back together, and they're still together.
Maybe if that's a credit to you as a person and your own abilities. I don't think it's across the board because there's far too many divorces in Scientology.
Really? You have the statistics on that, huh?
No, I don't. But just from the number of Scientologists that I know, they're not too happy with how their 2D co-audits
I've
went.
been a Scientologist 27
So I
years.
think
My second marriage, and I did get divorced once as a Scientologist.
that's normal.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think it's probably more of a credit to you and your abilities to communicate with people than the tech. Maybe you have a better line to people.
And usually the co-audit thing isn't necessarily to put them back together always. It's to help them split up amicably if they don't align as a 2D,
What do you
which sometimes happens. LRH says
let me
himself.
ask you this. What do you think about the fact that when they tell you to disconnect from somebody who is not interested in Scientology?
That's false data. No ethics officer within Scientology would tell you to disconnect from anyone unless you yourself wanted to. No one would make
They tell
you
you,
do that.
well, let me
There
tell you,
is a
here's the
policy-
loophole. Here's
No,
the loophole. They
no,
say
go right
if
ahead.
you want to go further up the bridge, otherwise you're going to be PTS to this SP.
Well,
And
if somebody's
and-
PTS to an SP, they can't go further up
Well,
the bridge.
but if it's your family, I'm sorry, but that's the way family is.
I have never, and I've been in Scientology 27 years, I've been on all the lines, I've been on staff, never seen a forced separation of a family in the entire time, except in Germany, when the Germans forced through their little religious things, families apart, different things by...
You have never seen
Never seen that forced, ever.
them tell somebody to get a
Never.
divorce from somebody.
No.
Would you believe me if I told you that David Miscavige asked his own mother and father to get divorced?
You might have.
I don't believe he asked. He told them.
Yeah, he told them. He told them that they had to get a divorce. That was a demand.
He was pro dad and against mom, or what?
His dad had just been accidents, mistakes happen. He had just raped a woman in Philadelphia. His father.
That's not an accident. That's criminal activity.
Well, he sent his father off into the Sea Org. He didn't send his father away. He sent him off into the Sea Org.
Hopefully into the RPF. That would have maybe handled him.
Well, if you think of that handles it, how about the guy? What's his name? Strawn. What was his name? The guy who was molesting his children, the Scientologist, and they kept telling the wife to keep it quiet and that they would handle it, and he wasn't handled. He continued molesting the children.
Sounds like a big mistake if it really happened. But then, what about the Protestant who killed this psychiatrist?
No, but I'm just talking
about all those
the
kinds
tech
of things?
isn't perfect. The
People
tech is
come
not
into
perfect.
Scientology at a level. Patty? They come into Scientology
I've never
at a level.
called Patty.
Well, whatever. Patricia. Is that better?
Yeah, I'm Patricia.
They come into a Scientology at a level. Now, maybe this gentleman, if this did happen, maybe he was new to Scientology. Maybe he hadn't gotten a lot of help or relief from the
Been in for
anxieties.
about 15 years.
I seriously doubt it.
And they told her not to call the police, that they would handle it. He continued molesting their children. And now that you can look at the police records on that, you can just go to the police. It was in Clearwater, wasn't it? Wasn't it in Clearwater?
Whatever happened,
Go
it
to
must
the
have been a big
Clearwater
mistake.
PD. But you got to understand that you can't say across the board that this stuff works. First, you got to acknowledge
that. It does
that.
if it's applied correctly.
Well, except
and
for
it does if the person
Okay.
isn't so deranged to begin with.
Then let me ask
that
you
they
this.
can't be gotten to.
Let me ask
which
you
doesn't
this.
happen.
With stats being so incredibly important,
They're not.
they're extremely important to the auditors. They have to run through auditing pretty
You have
heavily. They're stressed.
You haven't misunderstood.
No, I saw
Yes,
them.
you
They
do.
are stressed. They are sweating bullets trying to get through all the auditing that they
The
have
admin,
to do.
the policy that you're actually trying to operate off of there is called the admin scale, and stats is kind of very low on that. Goals, purposes, projects, plans, those are more important statistics. Statistics are used only to monitor a person's production, and it's used. IBM actually has sent employees to the Hubbard College to learn the technology.
But what happens
for that.
to these staff people that are not making their stats? They're suffering.
No, I was on staff for 10 years. I didn't suffer. I had some hard times. I actually went through a court of ethics, but then I was out ethics. I had some shit going on that shouldn't have been going on. So I got my ethics, handled.
Do you not believe that you can generate your own level of ethics?
Absolutely you can. That's what the whole thing about
So
ethics, it's a personal thing.
Why do you need somebody to handle your ethics?
If you're
for
in a
you?
group,
Yeah.
if you're in a group and you're associated with a group and that group is working toward a common goal and purpose, that group's ethics level is set by the ethics of the person with the lowest ethics level in that group.
That's not necessarily true.
Potentially just right in there.
No, that's not
That's
necessarily
pretty true.
Let me tell you, in a work environment, you say you have a business. In a work environment, you can have one person that he stands out like a sore thumb that he's not, and you get rid of him, and everybody is fine.
Sure. So in Scientology, we don't get rid of people, we help them.
Well, you do get rid of people.
We help. No, not really.
You
Put them in
do.
the RPF.
Well,
And we help them actually come out of it. My sister went through the RPF. I have an excellent friend in Seattle who was in the Sea Org for 23 years. Went through the RPF.
I tell you what.
Aren't you with the LMT now?
Yes, I am.
That's what I thought.
He works for the trust.
You work for the trust.
Yeah.
He's a
I thought this thing
videographer.
had nothing to do with the trust.
It doesn't, but I invited him over because we had Scientologists here.
So why are you here today?
We are members of the Foundation for Religious Tolerance.
And what does that have to do with being here today?
We feel that this particular film that's being made is being made from a viewpoint of religious bigotry. We get that concept from various data, but mostly the main concept would be that Bob Minton is funding it. And Bob Minton, well, we all kind of have our opinion of Bob. So, there you have it.